Week 4 of the World Title Series, I felt was devoted to one person, and that was Jeff Hardy. When you look at the show overall, without Jeff, you see some good matches, some damn good matches. You see a little bit of story put in, not much. And that's what we get. But let me explain myself, and you guys make your own decision after I say my craziness. Opening up the show was with Madison Rayne and Brooke. Now, we know that, let's be honest here, when it comes to Madison Rayne, she, either way, as a face or a heel, is not the greatest. She's very generic. And she barely covers as a heel a little bit more than a face. Let's be honest here. As a face, she's not that great at all. As a heel, she has a little bit more, but she doesn't deliver much. So when I saw the vid pack before the match happened, I thought, well, this is what we get with Madison Rayne. She's not that great of a talker. She just isn't. Brooke is a better talker than her. But Brooke has not been in the company as long as her. So they're going to focus on the veteran, so they focus on her. That's just going to happen. And I'll be honest here, I'm a low maintenance kind of guy. I'll take her. You guys don't want her, I'll take her off your hands. Come on, give me the low maintenance, the one that's not the best appealing one, I'll take her. But anyway, that's kind of being a little bad to myself. I'm sorry. I should care about someone being high maintenance or something, or mid maintenance, whatever. Anyway, what was the match like? Well, the problem here is that Brooke's hand is still messed up, and they really accentuated that. I guess they're trying to make something out of it more than what it was, because they really haven't talked about it weeks beforehand, because she broke her hand many, many weeks before the entire situation of this. But they wanted to emphasize that Madison Rayne is not on the board. She didn't have 3 points. Everyone else had 3 points, so she needed some points. Now she's got it. So now, I believe all 4 knockouts have points now. But the person I want to see is Awesome Kong get to the next 16. Don't need no Brooke, even though I love me some Brooke. I definitely don't need Gail Kim, because I don't want to see Gail Kim there. We've seen her enough. I want to see Kong. Next, Spud versus Bram. Now, I hadn't any... How can I say this? Andre Corbell had made a video on how he felt about Bram and the alleged situation he went through. And he was very passionate about how he felt. Now, I never made a video on Bram because of that situation. I felt that was better to leave it alone. I did say a couple of things about him in some videos, but I always kind of left it low-key. But when you see that Bram now is been cleared of all charges and has been reinstated to TNA, that just makes me feel a lot better. We have enough trouble with wrestling where there's a lot of stresses because of like a Hulk Hogan, because of a Benoit, because of what happened to several other people who have done some things good and done some things bad. I'm just glad to see in this respect that we didn't have another wrestler end up making the product look bad. So I'm glad Bram is back. And this was a pretty good match. And Bram, I didn't expect to lose this. He's a bigger guy. I didn't expect Spud to win. I didn't. It is what it is. But my question to you is this, ladies and gentlemen. Because this was done during the tapings around September to July. Somewhere between July to September, I believe. Or June. I can't remember where they did these tapings. What did TNA do to the situation with Bram? Because if he was still in the World Title Series at the time, and then the situation came up and they had to cut him out, suspend him indefinitely, how did they write him off? That's what it comes down to. Unless they're going to announce it on those tapings that Bram is currently in court, I don't know what they had to do, because it looked ugly, this situation with him. But anyway, let's move on. Mandrews versus Manic. A very fast-paced X Division match. Very fast-paced, which I didn't have a problem with. The only problem I have here is that I want to see Manic team up with Zima Ion and be in the tag team division, because they're both very good wrestlers. They're both Filipino wrestlers. Even one of them is, I think both of them are mixed Filipino wrestlers. I don't really care if they are. Just They're both good wrestlers. Put them in tag team division. They seem to work better together. They just seem to flow together. Manic won. Let's move on. Shera versus Kenny King. Now, supposing something actual in real life had happened between Kenny King and Muhammad Ali Shera. Finally getting his name down. I'm so bad with names. Finally, I'm getting his name right. Supposedly, Shera took Kenny King's actual girlfriend or friend or whatever. I don't know. I don't watch Twitter. I try not to get too mixed up in all that because it's so easy to delve too deep into wrestling and lose the fun of it. I mean, for me personally, that's the way I go. I try not to delve too deep into pro wrestling. I try to just stay just above the surface, but deep enough that I know what's going on. I care about the product and what's going on with the people in the back and the stories and how the wrestling goes. I feel for myself, if I delve too deep into it, you lose something. And I'm not taking anything away from anyone who delves really deep into it and knows every nuance of it. That's just my point of view. If I did that, I think I wouldn't care about wrestling anymore. I like the mystique of it. But Shera won it. I didn't expect him to lose it. Honestly, I didn't. Now, the last two matches of the night. If I'm forgetting something, I'm sorry. That is Eli versus Robert Roode. Excuse me. The weather is playing havoc with me. But they tried to tell a story here. Periodically through the night, they went to Roode, they went to Eli, they went to Roode, they went to Eli, trying to hype up this match. And to be honest, they didn't really do a great job of it because it's been played out. It's tired. I'm sorry, it just is. And the backstage video pre-tapes just didn't really give me enough. So when I saw the match, it was alright. But I did think of one thing. Watching the last few weeks of the World Title Series, you didn't have any heelish type of attitude. Everyone has been wrestling straight. And seeing Eli to be the one who had to cheat to win wasn't the best, but at least it had to be done. Someone had to cheat to continue. And if they're trying to promote Eli with Robert Roode and try to make the feud more interesting, then it had to happen. So I'm fine with it, even though it is still quite weak. The last match of the night I'm talking about is the Wolves. Davey Richards versus Eddie Edwards. That was the best match of the night. I mean, if it wasn't them, it was Mandrews and Manic, they would have been the second best match of the night. I mean, the best match of the night. Well, I'm getting confused. I'm on medicine. Give me a break. Allergies are killing me. My throat feels like it's on fire. Sorry. When you look at Mandrews and Manic, it's easily the second best match of the night. And if there was no Wolves, it would be the best match of the night. But when you see the Wolves compared to them, no way. The Wolves did a way superior match. The crowd was behind them. The match flowed even more substantial than Mandrews and Manic. And you wonder, would either one of them turn on each other? I knew that they weren't going to turn. They just weren't going to do that. But you wonder, the frustration began to build maybe halfway through the match and then just stopped. And I think that's where the problem lied. That they wanted to up one another. But by the time halfway into it, they just dropped the tension. They just did. And it felt like two guys, they liked each other a lot, they trusted each other, and they weren't going to go any farther, even though they really worked their asses off. And I felt that was a loss. Even though the match was great, it just didn't tell a full story. It told half of a story. It just did. I know some people will say, well, the beginning wasn't really good, but the tension began halfway through the match going to the end. And I could agree with that, but the crowd really was very strong 1 quarter in. That's how I felt, the strongest. Because they really didn't know who to go for. But that's just me. You guys tell me below where you think the tension really began. Was it halfway through the match going to the end? Or was it maybe a quarter into the match to the middle of the match? That's why I felt like it was important, and then it got dropped. Finally, Jeff Hardy. This is what I felt. I felt when it came to Jeff Hardy, they were really promoting him the most. Jeff still is not ready to come back yet, but they really didn't want to let him disappear. So even though it was 2 short segments of maybe between 5 to 8 minutes, maybe 5 for one part of it, 8 to 9 minutes to the second part. I can't remember which one is which. I think part 1 was about 8 to 9 minutes. Part 2 was about 6 to 7 minutes. I can't remember how much. But essentially, they wanted people to understand what it was like for Jeff in 2015. And it was well done. Especially when it came to him explaining what happened when he rode his bike and fucked up his leg. Sorry for the cursing, but in this case, this is the best way to really relay this. Because for anybody who is a wrestler, who lives, breathes, and is their meal ticket, the minute you hurt yourself doing something outside of wrestling, it is like, what did I just do? Oh my gosh. I destroyed myself. That happens. That's at least by my point of view. So even though he didn't relay it very well, I think he just didn't want to go that far with it, because for what I understand about Jeff, he'll tell you to your face how he feels. But in this case, I think he was a little bit subdued. A little. I think he didn't want to get too upset about it, because he lost several months and still is losing many months to it. Even if he's cleared now, because of the World Title Series, he's not going to be involved in it, because the storyline is not going to allow him to be there often or at all. Even if he's 100% cleared, he can't do anything. At that time, I believe he was still hurt. So right now, they're already doing the tapings for next year. So essentially speaking, if TNA is still on Destination America, which I believe it is, because we are in November and we're still getting tapings, we're not going to see Jeff until maybe January or February of next year in the tapings. And I believe the thing they wanted to relay is that Jeff is there. He played a very major role in his brother's life, particularly getting the title, which I kept saying to you guys, look, Matt can be a transitional champion and a main event jobber. He can hold a promo segment pretty well. He works decently in the ring, and he's reliable. So there's no problem with him getting the title and holding it for a couple of months. In this case, he held it for a few days. He dropped it. The world title scene looks like it's going to build up to him taking it again, holding it for a couple of months, and you never know that it could be him against his brother. And that could happen down the line in 2016. So was I annoyed seeing Jeff and his interview, an exclusive interview? No. I felt it was well done. I do believe it was a bit subdued for Jeff, particularly when it came to the accident that hurt him and kicked him out for a couple of months. No, several months and still going on. But overall, the product wasn't that bad. At least they interjected something that had some character, that had some story development, that gave us something extra. Because let's be honest here, I did say during week 1 and, well, week 1 and 2, I remember week 1 and 2, that seeing they did something different compared to the WWE is refreshing, even if it is played out more than a few times it's been done. Compared to the WWE, this is a much more compelling product, even in its weakened condition. And seeing Jeff in this position wasn't that bad. So I hope you enjoyed the Zane view, please. Excuse me, my voice is really... Now I'm talking like that. That's not good. Bad allergies with bad weather gives you a bad voice. You guys have a good day and have a good night. Peace!